Anime, liar liar. Humans are inherently social beings, and in social interactions, we often encounter a word that serves as a benchmark for almost all human beings: ranking. No matter how small something is, there will always be a ranking, whether it's a ranking in a game, the best rated restaurants in the area, competitions, and so on. Hiroto Shinohara is a transfer student who came to a new school located on Academy Island, which actually doesn't care much about rankings. However, during his speech as the newly appointed top-ranking student, he acted arrogant and proclaimed that if anyone wanted to challenge his position, he would accept it through a special game that can only be found on Academy Island. Of course, this was merely a bluff when he delivered the speech arrogantly because he panicked too much when he was about to give the speech and when his smartphone rang. He read all the incoming comments as the speech was being broadcasted live through a special school channel. The school on Academy Island is managed by the Saionji Corporation, which is equipped with the latest and most comprehensive facilities that can only be found there. A few hours before giving the speech, while Hiroto was walking to school, he felt confused with the directions provided on the Maps application on his smartphone. Then, he heard footsteps and saw a beautiful girl who captivated him with her beauty. She had long ruby red hair and her eye color perfectly matched her hair color, instantly grabbing Hiroto's attention. Hiroto asked the girl for directions to the school he was going to today because he had just arrived at Academy Island yesterday and hadn't had a chance to explore the area or at least know the way to his new school, Ime Academy. The girl replied that Ime Academy is located in District 4, while Hiroto's current position was in District 3, which caused him to get lost while walking in District 3. The girl showed Hiroto the location of Ime Academy on the Maps application on his smartphone, and she realized that Hiroto was around the same age as her because she knew he was in Class 2, which could be accessed through the personal data application on the students' smartphones. Sensing that Hiroto hadn't had time to read the user guide for his smartphone, the girl asked him, and true enough, Hiroto was the type of person who always skipped tutorials as long as it was possible, like in games, for example. The girl laughed at Hiroto's statement, realizing that he truly hadn't read the user guide and indirectly asked the girl for help. The smartphones given to students studying on Academy Island are mandatory and students must understand their functionality because most of the data about each student can be accessed through the application, so they should always carry it. Academy Island also has its own special social media platform called Stick, where students can stay updated on the latest news and events at the Academy. One of the most important applications is used for a game where players compete to collect stars from each other by sending game requests. They can play a game where they bet stars they have accumulated from previous games, or for those who have never played, it becomes an opportunity to steal stars from their opponents while collecting 7 stars to rank the highest at the Academy. While showing Hiroto the way, the girl began escorting him to Ime Academy. Hiroto, with a smirk on his face, followed her, captivated by her beauty and cuteness. Hiroto, as a transfer student, had to attend the orientation event held for new and transfer students. The girl also suddenly remembered that she had to attend the event in the afternoon. As they were about to part ways, by some coincidence or unfortunate event, a small water turret appeared and sprayed water, drenching the girl completely. Feeling played by Hiroto, who, in reality, didn't even know how to use the smartphone properly, the girl was furious because all her clothes were soaked, and she felt humiliated by the situation that happened purely by chance. She challenged Hiroto to a star collecting game, where the challenger should determine the game since Hiroto didn't fully understand how the application worked. Thus, he only sent the challenge without any concept of the game to be played. Eventually, the girl decided on the game they would play. The game they would play was a staring contest with a difficult mode, where they would take turns attacking each other with different expressions to make their opponent look suspicious, and if they did, they would be declared the loser. Since Hiroto was the challenger, he would be the first to attack, and the players would take turns for 1 minute. Hiroto began the game poorly because he didn't know what to do. He was clueless even about basic things like setting his abilities before starting the game, let alone how to attack the angry girl whose expression remained hidden due to the ongoing game. The 1 minute allotted to Hiroto seemed wasted due to his own confusion, which prevented him from seizing the opportunity to attack. When it was the girl's turn to attack, she quickly unleashed her ability to create a sword-like laser and aimed it at Hiroto, hoping to see a terrified expression on his face seconds after the attack. Feeling cornered, Hiroto didn't want to lose to the ruby-haired girl who was clearly frustrated and felt underestimated because of his lack of knowledge in managing his abilities and other basic aspects. It was Hiroto's turn to attack again, but to his surprise, the small turret that had previously sprayed water at the red-haired girl unexpectedly targeted him with the same water spray. In that moment, the girl fell silent momentarily, seething with anger as she believed Hiroto had planned it from the beginning and had successfully bought time until the turret reappeared. The red-haired girl, who had briefly fallen silent, suddenly showed an expression of embarrassment because her clothes were once again soaked. Her plan to welcome new students as one of the role models in the school had backfired, and she felt deeply embarrassed by the nonsensical defeat. Was it merely pure luck or Hiroto's natural talent that allowed him to easily defeat Saionji Sarasa, the red-haired girl known as the Empress? After the game concluded, Hiroto was summoned by an elderly male servant to meet the headmaster in District 4. The headmaster questioned Hiroto's ability to defeat Sarasa so easily. Ikainos Natsume, who had initially intended to intimidate Hiroto and make him afraid, revealed that the person he had defeated was none other than Saionji Masamune, the owner of Academy Island and Sarasa's grandfather. Feeling pressured by the confrontation with Ikainos Natsume, the headmaster of District 4 at Aimei Academy, Hiroto faced a difficult situation. The headmaster believed that Hiroto had truly broken a taboo on Academy Island by defeating a figure as important as Saionji Sarasa, known as the Empress. Considering Hiroto as an NPC, non-player character, the headmaster offered him a solution: to become a new legend on Academy Island by being the first transfer student to obtain the 7 stars. Hiroto could make use of the special effect ability of the red star he had obtained from Sarasa, which was the ability to deceive convincingly. This ability was even feared by Hiroto himself, but he decided to seize the opportunity to search for someone he had encountered before. Even after giving the speech, Hiroto was still frustrated because his ability to lie had a significant impact on players with the same or even higher star rankings. With empty words that could provoke the emotions of easily agitated individuals, his remarks were deeply hurtful. The headmaster was delighted with Hiroto's arrogant and conceited speech, thanks to the natural effect of the red star he had obtained from Sarasa. The headmaster explained that it was a perfect psychological deception. Simply by delivering a speech in that manner, even the most seasoned veterans couldn't help but feel heated. Being able to separate his emotions while lying and his expression when acting extremely arrogant came naturally to Hiroto. However, the side effect was that he would come to despise lying after he had finished doing it. The headmaster was grateful to have recruited Hiroto to Academy Island. After their brief conversation, Hiroto was eager to return to the dormitory as he appeared exhausted from his eventful day. The headmaster had already provided him with the address of the dormitory based on the star ranking he had achieved through his smartphone. On his way back to the dormitory, Hiroto was suddenly pulled by someone, who turned out to be Sarasa. She couldn't accept the humiliating defeat. Moreover, Sarasa felt that when Hiroto delivered his speech, he was seeking more attention to mentally crush her because she was the granddaughter of the owner of Academy Island. Due to the loss of the red star, Sarasa experienced its effects when she lied for survival, as it served as her reason for living. Sarasa was willing to do anything for Hiroto as long as he didn't reveal the secret she was about to disclose, as a punishment for the loss of the red star she had taken from Akabane Rina, her real name, a year ago. Hiroto was completely bewildered by Sarasa's words and tried to clarify the misunderstandings and the fact that he knew nothing about Academy Island and its entire contents. The lies that Sarasa should have revealed to Hiroto were hindered by the effects of the red star itself. Eventually, Hiroto realized that Sarasa was not the true granddaughter of Saionji Masamune and that she was Akabane Rina. He became fearful of his own words during his speech as the representative of the new students. Hiroto was determined to pursue the 7th star to uncover the identity of the person he had encountered in his childhood and whether it was related to his enrollment on Academy Island. As night approached, Hiroto arrived at the apartment indicated by the headmaster, only to find that it was a luxurious residence for him to live in alone. Curious about its contents, when Hiroto entered, he encountered a beautiful girl dressed as a maid with silver hair. Who was she? Was she really just an ordinary maid? We will soon find out in episode 2. Continuing into episode 2, Shinahara Hiroto was surprised to see a beautiful maid already inside the house he was going to live in. He attempted to inquire about her, but she hid from him when he entered the house. The maid finally revealed herself after confirming that Hiroto was the rightful owner of the house, as per the information received from the Island Academy authorities. However, she didn't expect Hiroto to be a male, as she might have hoped for a female employer. The maid introduced herself as Shirayuki Himeji. Hiroto was delighted to have such a beautiful maid. Himeji was registered at Oka Academy, District 3, which was different from Hiroto's school. Nevertheless, due to a direct request from the headmaster of Aimei Academy, District 4, Himeji would become Hiroto's personal assistant and transfer to Aimei Academy along with him. Having prepared a cup of tea, Himeji immediately explained the role of a live-in assistant to Hiroto. She would be constantly by his side during his stay on the Academy Island, without any specified time limit. This meant that Himeji and Hiroto would be living under the same roof. Before Hiroto could ask about any peculiarities of the arrangement, Himeji quickly assured him that she wouldn't engage in anything inappropriate. For example, if they both wanted to sleep, they would have separate rooms. Himeji didn't dislike the unexpected situation. Her real concern was with the arbitrary decisions made by the headmaster of District 4. Hiroto empathized with Himeji and shared the sentiment, considering her a comrade regardless of their social status, which was also a bother to him. Himeji spontaneously invited Hiroto to have dinner together, and without hesitation, he accepted the invitation. Hiroto didn't anticipate that Himeji would prepare so much food for herself, but since he was someone who didn't want to inconvenience others, he invited Himeji to dine with him as well. At first, Himeji declined, believing that a maid should eat after her employer had finished, but she eventually agreed to eat with Hiroto due to his invitation. Finding Himeji's cooking to be delicious, Hiroto was surprised, and his initial disbelief slightly hurt Himeji's feelings. Nonetheless, Hiroto sincerely praised Himeji's cooking, albeit his blunt nature sometimes got the best of him, as he didn't consider Himeji to be a bad person and didn't mind her feelings getting hurt. After finishing dinner, Himeji invited Hiroto into a secret room within his current house to discuss a strategy for easily obtaining the 7th star by resorting to cheating, with the assistance of an organization called Company. Himeji herself was one of the top agents working undercover as Hiroto's maid. To prevent any intruders from leaking the secret data that Hiroto would be using, Himeji presented her plan offline, ensuring it would be hard to detect any hacking attempts on the network used at the time. Hiroto thought that using the red star obtained from Sarasa Saionji could be the foundation for acquiring the 7th star easily and quickly with Company's help. However, Himeji doubted Hiroto's abilities, considering his entrance exam results were deemed unworthy. Consequently, she decided to help him by resorting to less than honest means, making Hiroto appear deserving of the 7th star in the eyes of Company and the Academy. They would utilize Company's hacking capabilities to assist Hiroto in winning each game gradually. Kagaya-san, the head of the electronic department at Company, would provide the necessary support, with the condition that Hiroto acted deceptively to aid Kagaya-san's actions and secure an easy victory without the enemy realizing the cheating. It was crucial for Hiroto to keep this secret since it would violate the rules, and if exposed, those involved would be forced to leave the Academy Island. Company was confident in its ability to execute the plan successfully, and thus, Himeji was confident in helping Hiroto win. Her motivation stemmed from a strong desire to meet someone from her childhood whose name she had forgotten but whose memory remained vivid. This memory fueled Hiroto's determination to win every game played. According to Himeji's plan, the next morning, Hiroto successfully played the pre-arranged game target and won effortlessly, thanks to the acting of the red star effect. He was delighted with Company's work, which had helped him secure a victory in the first game of the day. After the first game was completed, Himeji would continue her mission to ensure Hiroto's victory in the second game, scheduled for the afternoon at the designated gaming area set up by the school. Before heading to the arena, Hiroto took the opportunity to visit his own school to find out his class and meet some of his classmates. He encountered Fuka Tatara, his classmate and class representative, as well as Tsuji Yuki, another classmate. Since he was chosen as a volunteer player for the inter-school tournament, he asked Fuka why their school was so passionate about gaming. Fuka replied that their school was one of the top 5 on the Academy Island, and to maintain that status, most students were enthusiastic about games, following the directives of Headmaster Ikinos. Hiroto's opponent for the upcoming match had been determined. He would face Haru Urasaka, a senior from District 11. As the match was about to begin, Urasaka Haru, the challenger, appeared first, followed by Hiroto. The gaming tournament event would be live-streamed through the school's YouTube channel, and the stadium was already bustling with excitement, promising to be a grand and lively occasion. Unbeknownst to Hiroto, the guest star for the event was Saionji Sarasa. Hearing Sarasa giving her speech, Hiroto seemed somewhat uncomfortable, as if he didn't want Sarasa to be present for any reason. Kazami Suzerne and Sarasa would be the commentators and analysts for Hiroto and Haru's upcoming game. Haru, as the challenger, chose the game, a 100-meter race where they could use anything they liked as transportation. Haru was confident in defeating Hiroto and had prepared a modified motorcycle to secure victory. However, Hiroto, with his arrogance, wasn't going to be easily defeated. Haru's motorcycle entered the racing arena, but Hiroto, ready without using any equipment, was determined to face the challenge. Himeji had given Hiroto instructions to facilitate his strategy. Knowing that Haru's ability was to remove speed limits, acceleration, and safety features from any interfering opponents, Hiroto had no choice but to rely on Himeji's instructions. Although he felt fearful inside, Hiroto's arrogance annoyed Haru. The race began, with Haru speeding off rapidly. However, Hiroto had chosen the full cancellation ability, augmented 3 times stronger through hacking to counter Haru's skills. Instantly, Haru's motorcycle came to a complete stop due to the effects of Company's hacking. Haru was protected by a mat placed by Company, so she wasn't harmed when thrown off her bike. Hiroto casually walked towards the finish line. He explained the deception behind his abilities, full cancellation, forced stop, and the safety features he mentioned were all part of his lies. He won the game easily with the help of Company's hacking, as without it, Hiroto would have surely faced a crushing defeat. After the event concluded, Hiroto wanted to return home immediately, but he was intercepted by Sarasa, who felt disappointed not to witness Hiroto's defeat and humiliation. However, on the other hand, she was pleased because she had won the game and had been the one to defeat Hiroto. Sarasa tugged at Hiroto's tie, fearing it would rip. She asked him not to pull away. It seemed like Sarasa was treating Hiroto roughly. Hiroto held a paper he received from Sarasa, inviting him to meet elsewhere without anyone accompanying him. On his way to meet Sarasa, Hiroto knew that Himeji was keeping a close watch on him from a distance. He didn't want to be disturbed or discovered during his meeting with Sarasa, so he had asked Himeji to comply with his request, allowing him a bit of freedom. The location Sarasa referred to was a somewhat secluded cafe, not easily visible from afar. Sarasa appeared visibly annoyed with Hiroto for being late. Without beating around the bush, Sarasa wanted Hiroto to tell her about his life before entering the academy. In return, Hiroto was curious about what had actually happened to the real Sarasa. The fake Sarasa, also known as Akabane Rina, explained that the real Saionji Sarasa had been kidnapped, and no one, including Rina and the Saionji family, knew her whereabouts. Since no one recognized the real Sarasa's face, Rina was chosen by the Saionji family to take her place to preserve the family's reputation. This put a burden on Rina as she had to indirectly maintain the Saionji family's reputation. Hiroto understood why Rina sought his help due to his possession of the Red Star. He empathized with Rina's situation and agreed to help her. However, if Hiroto were to lose the game, it would trap them both in a difficult situation, leading to their forced expulsion by the authorities on the Academy Island. Hiroto eventually revealed his secret desire to find a childhood friend he hadn't seen in a long time, believing that the friend was on the Academy Island as well. He wouldn't leave the Academy Island until he could meet that friend, and he was willing to do anything to win the game for that purpose. Sarasa admitted that she didn't like how Hiroto always won the game, but they agreed to form an alliance until they could resolve their respective issues. Himeji, who had secretly learned something from Hiroto, was shocked to hear her master had returned home. The following day, Hiroto and Sarasa met at school, teasing each other about not communicating via email. Then, a mysterious man appeared laughing on top of a building. Who could he be? What caused Himeji's surprised expression? We'll have to wait for the next episode to find out. Continuing to episode 3, a mysterious young man named Kugasaki Siren appeared, laughing from the top of the school building. He was a fervent admirer of Empress Sarara and challenged Hiroto to a game without beating around the bush. Siren believed he would be the first player to make Hiroto kneel before him because he considered himself superior. Initially doubtful of Siren's grandiose claims, Hiroto accepted the challenge, reversing the stakes, and bet that the loser couldn't challenge Saionji Sarasa. Feeling intimidated, Siren, the leader of the self-created Holy Knights, didn't back down and kept challenging Hiroto to the game. Hiroto responded calmly, stating that he would reveal Siren's true level, considering his claims to be mere empty talk. As Hiroto waited for someone with an unusual appearance for him, he spotted a girl dressed unusually as well. Upon realizing it was Sarasa, he greeted her, and Hiroto was slightly surprised by her somewhat reserved appearance. Sarasa asked him about the conditions of the challenge, whether it was to protect her secret or had another intention. Hiroto gave an answer that at least reassured Sarasa, as revealing Sarasa's true identity would also expose Hiroto's deception. Thus, Hiroto protected everything to prevent unwanted outcomes. Hiroto invited Rina to come to his house, and upon arrival, they were greeted by Himeji, who had previously served the Saionji family or, more accurately, protected Akabane Rina, who disguised herself as Saionji Sarasa. This revelation surprised Hiroto, and he immediately shared the incident about the real Saionji Sarasa being kidnapped. Himeji, who knew about it, urged Hiroto and Rina to enter a secret room in his house to discuss strategies to counter Siren's game called 27 Forms of Self-Creation. The game involved Hiroto and Siren collecting cards and competing based on the total number on them. The game had two phases: the collection phase, where players had to find cards numbered from 0 to 19 scattered in District 4 and select the 5 highest numbers. They could search on foot or use public transportation, and new cards would appear every 5 minutes, which they could obtain using their smartphones. The second phase was the confrontation phase, where the 5 selected highest cards would be pitted against the opponent's cards. The player with the highest number would continue until someone secured 3 points. As this game had no record of a 1-star winner defeating Siren, Hiroto's chance of winning was estimated to be only around 1%, almost non-existent. Rina explained that she could use her numerical adjustment ability, previously used when she fought against Hiroto, to manipulate the card values during the game. However, Siren, ranked 5 stars, could change the value 19 to 30 with his star rank, and Hiroto, being a fake 7-star, couldn't exercise low-ranked privileges, leaving him with no choice but to resort to cheating. Himeji would assist him with her tricks during the collection phase, hindering Siren's movements to buy time and collect cards that Hiroto could win despite the numerical adjustment being used. Rina warned that if Siren entered the collection phase with perfect preparation, Hiroto would be doomed because Siren possessed the emergency movement ability, enabling him to control his 300 soldiers with a single use and grant their abilities to him. Rina suggested Hiroto should disregard that his Siren's star ability, Black Wings, could release smoke and thunder, making it a challenge to fight him. Hiroto asked Rina about the abilities he could use to counter Siren. She mentioned the first ability, Coordinate Manipulation, could change the location of cards in District 4 and gather them at one point but only worked on 5-star and above cards. The second ability, Tracing, enabled him to find all the cards from the start through his smartphone and determine the order of cards to take. Hiroto also inquired about the 1-star ability he could use from Himeji. She suggested the error display ability, which would cause the opponent's smartphone screen to malfunction. Additionally, he could utilize the fortune ability to balance the odds and increase the chance of finding high-numbered cards. Lastly, the numerical adjustment ability according to Hiroto's prediction. These 3 abilities were what Hiroto would employ to counter Siren, although Himeji doubted their effectiveness, considering the actual battle was in the collection phase. Nonetheless, Hiroto was confident in his choices as an assurance of his victory. After Rina returned home from Hiroto's place, Hiroto asked about Himeji avoiding Rina, but Himeji explained that it was actually Rina who was avoiding her. As Rina was a close friend of Himeji, she found Rina's current behavior strange, as she was hiding something from her and the Saionji family. Himeji also warned Hiroto to protect Rina because she was a fragile girl. The game between Hiroto and Siren was about to begin. Himeji had prepared to assist Hiroto in winning the game by coordinating the target cards to be taken, finding the most efficient route, and cutting down Siren's movement time. However, it seemed like all the preparations were in vain because within a few seconds of the game starting, Siren had already obtained 2 cards and closed off all possibilities for Hiroto to gather information in searching for cards. Siren broke through Himeji's call and started intimidating Hiroto, who was confused and struggling to find his first card. Feeling that Himeji's help wouldn't be enough, Hiroto managed to calm himself and think of an alternative way to find the card, eventually succeeding in getting his first card. While Hiroto was worried about the possibility of Siren taking the card with the number 17, he suddenly saw Haru riding her motorcycle. He asked for her assistance to reach the coordinates of the next card. After Haru provided the ride, Hiroto thanked her, and she felt grateful to the school principal for giving her permission to do the temporary motorcycle business. However, during his search for the second card, Hiroto fell from a height because the card's location was precarious without any safety measures below. Siren had already obtained 11 cards, leaving Hiroto with 9 cards, and the game was not yet over. When Hiroto got injured from the fall, Rina came to encourage him, as he had lost his earphones, which he used to communicate with Himeji. Hiroto had a great responsibility to protect his lie and Rina's lie, especially to meet his childhood friend. However, Rina revealed the lie that Sarara had been kidnapped. Sarasa, in fact, wanted to attend a regular school. With Rina's help, she managed to attend a regular school on the main island. Hiroto, who felt that Himeji should know about this, was stopped by Rina, as the secret would be revealed in 2 years. Rina didn't want Yuki to be involved in this because it was her mistake. Hiroto understood and admired Rina for her courage to make Sarasa's true wish come true by fooling the Academy Island and the Saionji family. He praised Rina for her audacious actions, as it was her style. Rina was surprised and blushed, understanding what Hiroto meant. But Hiroto added that they should continue this lie for a while longer to stay safe from potential threats. Himeji arrived and asked about Hiroto's condition, informing them that Siren had collected 16 cards, and the location of the last 2 cards hadn't been revealed yet, but it was likely they would be taken. Hiroto and Rina believed they could obtain the remaining 2 cards and win the game by seizing the last chance to turn the tide using the cheating method they hadn't used again yet. The collection time has ended, and now it's the opening phase where Siren has arranged 5 cards, while Hiroto only has 2 cards. Siren intimidates Hiroto to give up, as he believes Hiroto cannot win against him. Although Hiroto seems to be giving up, he's actually stalling for time to activate his cheating method at the right moment. When Hiroto successfully prolongs the time to use the rule breaker in a sneaky way, even though normally this ability can only be used on players ranked 6 and above, the first round of the opening phase ends. Hiroto changes the rules using the rule breaker, stating that if a player runs out of cards in the first turn, the game will continue to the next turn, but all the cards used by both Hiroto and Siren will be eliminated. However, in the first turn, Hiroto only discards 1 card while Siren discards all his selected cards. When the second turn begins, Hiroto still has 1 card, while Siren has none, leading Hiroto to win the game. After his victory, he collapses and appears very weak due to the effects of falling from a height while grabbing the card. Several days after the game, Hiroto is in the hospital because of his serious injuries and needs to be hospitalized. He is on the hospital rooftop, enjoying the outside atmosphere, when Rina visits him. She is a bit annoyed because he isn't in his hospital room. Rina thanks Hiroto for protecting everything she has, especially her lies. When Rina mentions the type Hiroto referred to, she does so shyly while he's on a call with Himeji. Rina is annoyed that Hiroto isn't paying attention to her and suddenly hugs him as she successfully convinces him. This is the end of episode 3. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss part 4 of this series recap.